All righty, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar session. We're so glad you can join us this afternoon. We'll get started momentarily, but we're going to wait a couple of moments just to allow more attendees to join us. And in the meantime, make yourself comfortable by grabbing yourself a snack or something to drink, and we'll get started shortly. All right, and while we're waiting, please add where you're joining us from in the chat. We'd love to see where you're tuning in from this afternoon. All right, Mississippi Delta. All right, Kansas. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, North Carolina's here. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. And I am joining us today from Louisiana. So I'm so glad everyone could take a moment out of their schedules today to join us today for this session. We have a wonderful session lined up for you this afternoon, and we're going to get started. Just a second. All righty, let's go ahead and kick it off. Well, good afternoon, everyone, again, and welcome to today's webinar session titled Wholesale Opportunities at Procurement Companies. I am Patricia Lazard, Freedmen Heirs Foundation Project Manager, and your host for today's webinar session. We have an exciting session for everyone today, especially for farmers who are looking to enter into wholesale markets. But before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping slides for us to review. All righty, so I just want to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our Freedmen Heirs Foundation website and on our YouTube channel. So if anyone needs to leave the webinar early, don't worry, you're going to get a recording of the session sent to you via email. All righty. I also want to remind everyone that attendees' cameras are off and microphones are muted. Chat and Q&A functions are enabled, and all questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. All righty. So Freedmen Heirs Foundation is a nonprofit organization founded by Seneca Edwards Herron and Kelly James, and it's dedicated to bridging the gap between Black farmers and the marketplace. We support Black farmers in the United States by providing them with access to technical assistance, financial resources, and marketing opportunities. So for those of you who are just finding out about us, we encourage you to please follow us on all social media platforms, and you can find us easily by typing at Freedmen Heirs Foundation in the search bar on our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube channels. We also encourage you to sign up for our newsletter list if you haven't done so already, and that way you'll be caught up to date with our latest Freedmen Heirs Foundation news, program updates, events, and opportunities. All right, so before we start today's topic of discussion, I'd like to introduce a very special guest and friend of Freedmen Heirs Foundation. Lynn Gorsuch has over 14 years of experience in sales, operations, and management within food and beverage distribution. She has worked at some of the top brands, including Coca-Cola, US Foods, and Foodbuy. She excels at fostering deep, trusting relationships with customers, suppliers, and cross-functional partners. Lynn has a passion for diversity and sustainability. Lynn currently works on the supplier diversity team at Foodbuy and manages a BIPOC farmer program that drives demand for produce from farmers who have overcome incredible obstacles. All right, so without further ado, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker for today's webinar session, Ms. Lynn Gorsuch. All right, Lynn, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Patrice. That was a great introduction. And I'm so honored to share space with all of you today. I'm so excited to talk with you, and I'm so excited to be a partner with Freedmen Heirs. They're a fantastic organization, and I love working with Seneca and Patrice. You'll notice me glancing from side to side. I'm looking at another screen with notes on it, so please forgive me. One moment. I'm gonna stop sharing and then reshare, if you'll bear with me.
Take your time.
And I was going to share a little bit about myself, but I think that intro covered it. My primary specialty is in food and beverage distribution and sales. So that involves consumer products, food and beverages, and their distribution and sale to food service companies. So restaurants, hotels, casinos, etc. So can you see my screen? I bet you can't.
Yes, we can, but oh wait, not anymore.
Okay, one moment. We did test this and now it's not working. So let's try again. One moment.
Oh yeah, it's all right.
Okay, there we go. So you'll see me look off to the side as I'm referring to my notes. Can you see my screen and the presentation?
There we go.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
thank
Sounds
you.
good. Okay, so I live in Kansas, and Foodbuy is a national company, global actually. Our headquarters is in North Carolina. I live in Kansas where it's about 39 degrees. It was 18 when I woke up, so cold. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the cold. Um, so I am going to talk to you today and give you just a really general overview of who my company is and what we do, and then how farmers can potentially work with us if you're interested. So keep an open mind. This line of business, the wholesale business, isn't for all farmers, but take in what's good for you and what's not to see if this might be an opportunity for you. And then I'll cover some additional resources that are available. There will be lots of time for questions and answers at the end. This will take about 30 minutes. And I put my contact information on this first page, but always reach out to Seneca or Patrice as well if you want to connect with me and discuss more, or if all of your questions don't get answered. I'd love to speak more about this with you. So what is Foodbuy? Not a lot of people have heard of Foodbuy. I work for a company called Foodbuy, and Foodbuy is called a procurement company or a group purchasing organization. And what Foodbuy basically does is we contract options for purchasing, mostly food and beverage options, but also anything that surrounds the food and beverage world, like napkins, uniforms, tablecloths, anything that's related to food and beverage, in addition to cleaning and facilities management. We specialize in buying and procuring those things, and we use all of our many national and global locations to aggregate all of that volume and all of that spend to get great deals. So my company is combing the marketplace looking for the best products at the best price in the locations we need them to be. We work with thousands of suppliers, and we buy many, many items and large volumes of items because we have so many locations. We are very focused on our entire supply chain, the integrity, transparency of that supply chain, and also the efficiency and the cost savings of the supply chain. And because we deal with so many suppliers, so many units, so many items, we really must be masters at data and reporting so we can ensure that we're buying the right item for the right price in the right location, and it's used for the right purpose. This leads me to, why are we buying all this stuff? Why do we research all this and write contracts? We are doing that for food service management companies. So Foodbuy is a procurement company. Our parent company is Compass Group, which specializes in food service management. So I'll over explain this part. If you've already done business with us, or someone like us, this may seem tedious, but it is sometimes difficult to understand to people new to the industry. So forgive me if I'm over explaining anything. Basically, Compass Group is facility food service management, right? So we provide food service for arenas, hospitals, hotels, college and universities, K through 12 schools, basically anywhere that serves food. And as an example, all of those places I listed, they are great at doing what they do, right? A hospital's specialty is medicine and emergency rooms and healing sick people. Their specialty is not running a hospital cafeteria. So they hire other companies to do that work for them, and that's what we do. We hire people to work in a hospital cafeteria, we buy the food, we train the people how to cook it, we serve it to those people, and that's what food service management is. And like I said, we have thousands of locations and go through millions and billions with a B dollars in food every year. Our parent company, Compass Group, owns 27 businesses that specialize in this. And here's just a look at most all of our businesses that we own. And each of these businesses specializes in a specific area of food service or facilities management. And you may be familiar with some of these and you may not. And we also do business with a group of companies that we call members. So for the slide before, we actually take complete ownership of that food service area. So the cafeteria in the hospital, we completely take over that cafeteria with our people, our money, our food, etc. Our members are independent of Foodbuy and of Compass Group. Members are independently owned and operated, but they still use some of our purchasing services. And so we can present members options of what to purchase, but it's always their choice and what they buy. So here's some examples of some great members that we're privileged to work with. Okay, how do we buy? So three groups, right? Foodbuy, the procurement. We are arranging all the purchases, arranging all the options. Compass is those 27 businesses that actually operate those cafeterias inside the locations. They are actually buying the goods. We're just making the arrangements at Foodbuy. They purchase and get the deliveries of the goods. And then our members, of course, independently choose what they purchase. So how Foodbuy purchases, we review price, quality, availability, nutrition, all the characteristics of the food before we choose something. We involve culinary experts to evaluate the products and also discuss menuability of the products. We also take a close look at where are the products available. Is it easy to buy them? And can our units access them? And we make a list, a shopping list for units called order guides. These are the goods that we have vetted, arranged pricing for, and contracted, and we have an extensive quality process. So Compass uses our shopping list, our order guides to order products. They actually buy the products and receive them, and they are very in tune with what the consumers need. They need innovative products, they need great quality, and they need on-trend, allergen-free products to satisfy their clients and consumers. And they manage a budget, of course, as well. And again, members also buy through various channels. They choose what they buy, and members have their own standards that they purchase by as well. One moment. Okay, so what does all this mean to you, right? What can you take from this? So, one important aspect of working with Food Buy is working with distributors. So, this means that you sell your product to a distributor who can then deliver it to many locations. So, why do we use these distributors, right? We use it for the convenience and ease and time saving of one distributor having everything we need, right? So, a distributor is going to have a huge warehouse, many locations, and they'll have everything we need. That way, your college cafeteria at a university doesn't have to buy from a bread vendor, a vegetable vendor, a milk vendor, a beef jerky vendor, all these different deliveries, all these different ways to order, all these different ways to pay. A distributor will consolidate that all for us and help streamline the purchasing. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. And there's a similar benefit to you as a farmer as well for working with a distributor. So if you sell to a distributor, you're going to be selling a bulk amount of products, right? A large amount. And then you don't have to actually do the driving to all the different locations around town. The distributor will do that for you. I've listed 4 distributors below. These are 4 really great distributors that we work with, and with my local farm program that I manage, and these have done a great job. However, we do work with hundreds of distributors. These aren't the only 4. So please, if you see these and oh, that's not in my area or I can't work with them, please know that that doesn't exclude you. These are just 4 of our great partners, and I'll absolutely connect with you after if there's somewhere else, regionally, or some other distributor that you work with. Please let me know. Excuse me. Okay, so here are some specifics about our local farmer program at Foodbuy. We really want to buy great quality produce from amazing farmers like yourselves. And we've developed programming so that we can do that. One important aspect of working with Foodbuy or any company that you work with is transparent pricing. So, like I said, we work with distributors who buy the products from the farmers and distribute out to Compass and Food Buy locations. We're very transparent, all 3 parties, about price, and we like to discuss price up front. That way, the farmer knows what they will be selling their product for, won't be surprised, and can ensure all 3 parties maintain a profitable arrangement. That way, we know we're not paying too much, and the farmer knows, okay, the price isn't too low for me that I can't make a profit. We also put all of our produce on our order guides. That way, our units can see the produce, order it, and we can consistently order your product to ensure that we'll consistently purchase from a farm. We're also happy to foster those introductions to distributors. So there's many distributors all over the country, and we're happy to introduce you to those distributors and foster a relationship so you can work into our system. Also, in working with these farmers, we make sure that their produce is on the menu, and we're collaborating with the culinary team to make sure maximum amount of produce is sold. Excuse me 1 minute. Excuse me. Okay, hopefully that's finally done. I guess the cold's getting to me. I don't know. Okay. So finally, part of our local food farmer program at Foodbuy, we do extensive marketing and communication. When this program was started in 2021, it was started with the idea of the farmer first and putting the farmer's needs um, as a first priority. Farmers have overcome incredible obstacles. You guys are facing so many challenges every day just to stay in business and to thrive. And we're a large company with a complex buying process. We don't want to be another one of those obstacles. So we really pride ourselves on extensive communication to help you through our system, And then once you get in our system, extensive communication to ensure that your produce items end up at the locations, are served to guests, and so we can continue buying. You'll notice on the slide here are just a few success stories of some of the local farmers that we've worked with. And we're so honored to work with these people. They're fantastic people. I myself have only been working with farmers about a year and a half, and I don't really have a farming background. And I'm just continually impressed by the resilience, the passion for the land, but also just the warmth and the openness to conversations, to new opportunities that these farmers display. It's been a very rich and rewarding experience for me. Here's another quotation from one of the farmers that works with us. This is Berry Delicious, and he supplies a lot of our blueberries during blueberry season in the Chicago and Illinois area and Michigan area. He's a fantastic partner, and we're so excited to work with him. And I'll kind of go through these a little quickly. If you're a slow reader, don't feel bad. Just contact Seneca or Patrice, and they can get you copies of this information. Here's another farmer we work with in the Chicago area, and she has a mushroom farm in Illinois, fantastic quality products available year round. And also just the sweetest woman ever. She's so fantastic to work with, and we love working with her. And those are some shiitake mushrooms on the right that she's growing indoors. Okay, so I've talked about distributors a lot. That's the main way we do business. So, what's it like to work with a distributor if you decide this is something to pursue? You can start preparing with that list on the left-hand side with what to prepare to work with a distributor. So the distributor will ask you for a gap audit. Some will work with you as you're in the process of getting that gap audit, and some wait until the actual process is complete and you can show that paperwork. Distributors will ask you for a W-9, liability insurance, and distributors will expect really good communication skills. So always returning phone calls, always answering emails, just doing the basics, things like that. And once you've met those requirements and are ready to move forward, distributors will often have you fill out vendor paperwork. You'll need to be able to create invoices in a PDF format. When you're working with a distributor, be sure and discuss payment terms, right? So often when you deliver fruits and vegetables to a distributor, they don't pay you right then. They may pay you 7 days later, 10 days later. They may cut you a check and mail it. They may do direct deposit. So be sure and discuss that with them. Distributors and Foodbuy will want a detailed item list of what you're going to provide, and that's not going to be very general. We're going to want very specific information, and so is the distributor. So instead of saying like, oh, I can grow anything starting in June, we'll want to know what exactly you'll grow. So this much kale, 20 boxes of kale per week. It starts on the second week of June, and this is how much it'll be. Those kind of specific information. You'll see a ghost opening my door. That's my cat, Jackie. Um, also, be sure and talk about packing standards for distributors. Some of you are already familiar with this, but if you've never done business with a distributor or with a wholesale producer, they expect very specific packing standards. You can't just like hand over an armload of kale or a bunch of loose cabbages. Everything has to be in a very specific box, and there has to be a certain number of items per box, and it has to look a certain way. So be sure and discuss that with your distributor to make sure you understand exactly what they need. And there will be a delivery process. So you can't just show up with your produce, right? You have to call, make an appointment, make a dock time. You may need a PO issued. You may only be able to deliver on certain days and certain times. So talk with your distributor about that. And also talk about the receiving process. So after you make your delivery to the distributor's warehouse, someone will receive your produce, they'll count it, make sure it matches all of the information they have, but they also go through a very rigorous quality check. Food service produce standards are very, very high. You really cannot have any blemishes on the product. No cracked leaves, no burnt leaves, no black dots anywhere. And this is a sticking point for some farmers, especially small local farmers that have not been in this business before. Um, if anything at all is noticed from a quality standpoint from the receiver, then the shipment can be refused. So I just want to be upfront about that. That's one of the obstacles of this business. And unfortunately, receiving personnel don't always have time to check every box. So that means you could deliver 20 boxes of tomatoes to a distributor. If one box doesn't look like it's supposed to look, then you may not be able to sell the whole 20 boxes. So I just want you to be prepared that that is a possibility. And so discuss that up front with your distributor so you can be prepared and know how to handle that. Okay, so here's some resources, right? I've described a complex buying process and a complex process with a distributor. So that's a lot, but we are here to help you. I'm here to help incorporate small and local farmers into our system. And so I'm here to help you. I've included a list of links that may be helpful to you, and I have many, many other resources. So one particular difficulty some farmers find is in that gap audit. That's that food safety audit that farmers have to work with us and a distributor. Many states have a cost share program. They'll help you pay for that. There's also grants available to help you pay for that. And there's also lots of organizations that will help you with that process. So it's a lengthy checklist and a grading procedure. And there's lots of people out there that will help you through that, and so that it's not overwhelming. So reach out, click on these links, and if you don't see your state represented up there and you want some resources, please connect with me, get my information from Seneca and Patrice, and I'll help you. I will call out as well, the last link on the left-hand side is the National Minority Supplier Development Council's ACRES program. Applications just closed, unfortunately, but this is a great resource for farmers. You can apply to this year-long training program and you'll just get so many resources on how to grow and expand your business. And they've recently included gap audit in that training and resources section. And we also work with that program as well to help people through that. So um, if you see this information and you think, oh, this is a lot, we are here to help you and we will help you. So that's the end of my formal presentation. I know that was a lot. I'm here if you have any questions or feedback, but also if you need some time to digest, you can also do that as well. I completely understand. So I'll give it back to Patrice to kind of uh, facilitate the questions, and I'll try to stop sharing if I can. Am I sharing? I am. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's see. Well, thank you so much, Lynn, for that insightful presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once again. Let me know if you can see my questions slide.
I can.
So good. All right, perfect. Okay, so just to kind of like continue the conversation, because you put out a lot of good information, and I see that we do have a question in the chat from Miss Rosalind Harris. Let me go ahead and read that one before we get started. Okay. Rosalind says, we are a small farm. Is there a space for small farmers with a smaller quantity as opposed to larger ones at Foodbuy?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rosalind. Thank you so much for asking it. And the answer is, of course, it depends, which is not helpful at all, is it? So we buy mostly fruits and vegetables. That's what I'm looking for in this program. There's conversation on expanding it to lots of different things, but fruits and vegetables is the way to get incorporated immediately. And it's really going to depend on what kind of item you produce and where you're located. So each distributor in throughout the nation works a little bit differently, and so that's why um, that matters where you're located. And then also what items you grow matters because it matters how much we buy, right? So if you grow a very expensive, very niche morel mushroom for $200 a case, we only need a few cases of those per year. And so it's okay if you don't have a great big capacity. If you grow zucchini or squash, in some areas we buy 10 to 20 cases a week. In some areas we buy thousands of cases a week. So it kind of depends. And in some areas, we're able to kind of aggregate small farmers and small producers together to meet that total volume need. And in some areas, we're not. So I know that doesn't really answer your question. Feel free to type in your location and what fruits and vegetables you offer. And then I can get a little bit more specific, or we can take it offline. Unfortunately, we're not really able to do anything with row crops at this time, so we can't buy soy, soybeans, wheat, uh, anything like that, unfortunately. But that's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking.
All righty. Thank you, Lynn. Rosalind said, okay, she had another question. She asked what kind of fruits and vegetables, for example, does food buy? Lynn, I don't know if you want to answer that now or take it offline, whichever's easiest for you.
Yeah, both. Yeah, let's take it offline, Rosalind. But really, we buy everything. So lots and lots of all the fruits and vegetables. Almost everything, and it just kind of depends and varies. Some of the niche things we don't buy, and some we do. Sometimes some areas we buy watermelon radishes and organic black garlic, and some areas we only buy lettuce and tomato. So I'm sorry, I'm just giving general information, but yeah, let's take it offline. I see you provided your location as Georgia. We don't have the local farm program there yet, but we are working on some options. So I'd love to connect with you after. And I see someone asked about Mississippi farmers. We don't have our program there yet either, but I'd love to connect with you offline to talk about building that.
All righty. All right, so let's kind of shift focus a little bit, Lynn. I want to get back to the questions in the chat. Thank you so much for your questions. Keep on sending them in. We love questions. But I do want to ask you, Lynn. So what should, and this is a two-part, what should farmers look for when identifying procurement companies or GPOs to partner with? Are there certain qualities or needs that should be considered during the selection process?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Thank you so much, Patrice. So, what should you look for when doing business with a procurement company? So, I'm going to say the number one thing you should look for is that transparency and honesty in everyone you do business with. So meet with the people and make sure you know, like, and trust them and feel good about your interactions with them. You'll be able to tell if you can feel something is off. And then request specific information. So how many items do you want? How much of each item? When do you want them? What are the prices? Just get as specific as you can to increase that transparency so there aren't any surprises. And also be looking for a company that wants to help you, wants to integrate you in the system, and has a program specifically designed to do that. So we are large companies. We have that complex process, but if there's someone there that wants to help you through that process, and is willing to talk through things with you, that's what you really need. You need to go somewhere where it's okay to make mistakes. Someone will talk to you about, you know, oh, we don't do things that way. This is how we do things. And someone who's willing to constantly communicate those items. There's lots of things that we don't know about each other before we do business. And that constant communication is really going to be key so that there's no surprises. But then when there are surprises, we can correct and keep going, right? So the transparency in price is a big one. Sending someone your tomato price and they never respond, that's not helpful. Did they buy the tomatoes from someone else? Was the price too high? Did they decide they don't need tomatoes? So I guess just transparency in all things.
Okay, great, great, great. Thank you, Lynn. We're going to take it back to the questions from our audience. So Tyler Yarbrough, I'm apologizing in advance if I'm mispronouncing your last name, says, will you, oh no, we already covered that one. I'm sorry. Kelly Young has a question. She says, do you offer any programs to help farmers increase their capacity to supply greater quantities?
Yeah, excellent question. So our hallmark ability to help you is in the access to market. So that means our ability to order large quantities from you on a consistent basis at a price that you're comfortable with is going to be the best way we can invest in you and your profit margins and your ability to build capacity. We have specific things in place to ensure that it benefits the farmer, as I said. Um, we partner with lots of other organizations that are able to help with the other aspects of building capacity. So, lots of grants for buying equipment, lots of training programs for the food safety audit, for making business plans, for writing a safety plan, just all aspects of that. Those are more our partners wheelhouse. Our true benefit to you is in that consistent market orders so that you have constant cash flow coming into your business. I hope that answers the question.
All righty. Katie Bowman, who is located in the Kentucky, Tennessee area, says, do you have any regional distribution aggregation points, or do you offer on-farm pickup?
Yeah, excellent question. That would be a perfect question for one of our distributors that we work with. In the Kentucky, Tennessee area, we work with a distributor named FreshPoint, and we also work with a distributor, I believe, named Premier One. Um, uh, but connect with me after, and I'll get you some more specific information. So since the farmer's actually selling products to the distributor would be the one to answer those questions. FreshPoint is located in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm not sure where our distributor is in Kentucky, what city, but we do have one. And some distributors will pick up from your farm and some will not. Our distributor in Tennessee typically is open to that. Keep in mind that if you can deliver to the distribution facility, that is great. And most distributors require refrigerated delivery. So your product would have to be in coolers with ice or in a refrigerated truck, but you can request pickup. As you get your produce picked up, keep in mind that, as I said, that freshness and that quality has to be completely phenomenal, right? So if your distributor schedules a pickup with you, don't pick the product several days before, let it sit outside and the quality diminish, right? Pick the product that day, that way it's optimum freshness. I hope that helps, and let's connect offline to get into the specifics.
All righty. We have another question from Betsy Jackson. She says, what states in the Southeast do you source from?
Great question. As I said, we're nationally, so we have locations all over the nation, including every state in the Southeast. Our current farmer program is really robust in North and South Carolina, and we're working on developing that Georgia, Mississippi area. But we're open to growth in all areas. So really connect with me after, and we can talk about what that would look like. In areas like Florida, where we don't have anything going yet, it may take some time. But yeah, connect with me after, and I would love to talk with you more about that.
All righty. All right, Lynn, I have another question for you to kind of keep the conversation going. So for any farmers that are looking to kind of get into the market, well, not this market year, maybe next year, are there any emerging trends that they should know as they prepare to enter into the market?
Ooh, that is such a good question. Emerging trends. Hmm. That's not something I'm an expert in, but I'm definitely willing to offer advice anyway. Just take it with a grain of salt. So, any innovations you see in packaged food, you can really take forward. So all food service locations are moving towards a more plant-focused menu. And so any kind of plant-focused items you can provide are going to be really hot and really important. And developing a variety of ways to use your products is going to benefit from you. So if you grow eggplant and you can give chefs or units 10 recipes to use eggplant or 5 ways to use eggplant as an entree, that's going to help. Um, and I'm not sure if it applies to farmers or not, but just anything in the health and wellness space, the superfood space. So all that kale, blueberry, avocado, that's still going to continue to go forward. And any allergen-free products are going to be continue to move forward. Gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, all the allergens. Um, let's see, what other emerging trends?
And I just thought about another question too, to kind of piggyback off of that. What about any type of value added products?
Yeah, that's an excellent question as well. Yeah. So, um, value added products are going to become more and more important. The struggle for labor is not going to get better anytime soon. Um, and so value added products save in labor time. So we're talking about vegetables that are already cut up, sliced mushrooms, caps only mushrooms, julienne bell peppers, salad bags of lettuce instead of the whole heads, washed and chopped kale, things like that. Those are going to become more and more important, and the demand will increase for that. Talk to whoever you're working with and who's buying from you about that. And typically, consumers, customers, units are willing to pay more for that product because it has been processed. So that's a great idea. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh yeah, no problem. And we do have another question from Wilbert Bryant. It asks, do you have any distributors in Eastern North Carolina?
Eastern North Carolina. So I'm sorry to say I'm not great with geography. We have distributors in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Raleigh. Are those in the eastern portion? I don't really think so. So those are going to be our distributors there. Those distributors are willing to pick up in some cases. So connect with me offline and we can discuss that. And I hope you are okay from the hurricane. I think that's the area that was impacted. So I hope you're doing okay. These are all such great questions. Thank you so much for all the great participation. You guys are wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much. All righty. While we're waiting for more questions from our audience, Lynn, I want to ask you another question that says, so, what are some challenges that farmers face when trying to partner with procurement companies, and how can they overcome those challenges?
Yeah, Yeah, great question. There's a lot of challenges, unfortunately, and we're really working hard to minimize those challenges. So, one challenge, I'm going to adjust my seat one moment. One challenge is getting connected at all. We're large companies, we have millions of products, and we have 600 people who work for us. And we have a whole team of category managers who make purchasing decisions. So getting to the right person is difficult. I'll talk a moment about portals. So a lot of companies, myself included, have a portal. That means a link, a website you can go to, you fill out information about your company, and that information is used to connect you to the right person. It can be tedious and irritating to fill out all that information, but it is how a lot of large companies do business, and it is something that we do need. So be open to visiting those portals, filling out all that information so you can get connected to the right person, and be patient with the process. Because we are so big, it often takes many months to sift through all those entries, connect them to the right person, analyze the data, look at, do we actually need this product? Is it in the right place, etc. So working with us can take a lot of time. So be patient with that. Another obstacle that we've seen is that gap audit. So it is quite a lengthy process. It can take a year or longer. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and start it now. And also reach out for help now. And because there are people that will help you with that process, and it is an expense. So reach out for that help with that as well, to those cost share programs and those grants. Let's see, another obstacle or challenge um, can be, yeah, I think those are the main two. And yeah, that I would address. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. All righty, we have another question from the audience, Lynn.
Yes.
Rosalind Harris says, for a new farm, what would be a minimum quantity to start with and what frequency? I'm assuming, Rosalind, you're talking about for the produce and vegetables. She says, thinking about having enough from the beginning.
Yeah, I understand I definitely understand your question. And I'm sorry to say the answer is it depends again on what you're producing and where you're producing it. So as I said, some of those specialty items we only need a few of. Some of those larger items we need a whole bunch of. And also what area of your company, what area your farm is located in will depend on the distributor that you work with. And that distributor may have a need for a large volume or may have a need for only a small volume. That distributor may need to aggregate things together in order to meet our volume. So let's connect offline and we can talk about what you grow, where you grow it, and how best to navigate that. But great question. Yeah, I'm sorry. I keep saying it depends. Yeah, I know that's not a good answer. I'm sorry.
All righty. It's all right. It just sounds like in order to, continue the conversation, we have to, go ahead and start establishing some partnerships, schedule some meetings with Lynn. And what I'll do is I will go ahead and add her contact information into the chat. Lynn, if you can go ahead and spell it out for me. I don't want to mispronounce it, misspell anything. So your email address is
Yeah, LGORSUCH at foodbuy.com.
okay, I thought so. All right, so this is Lynn's contact information. And if anyone has any other questions or feel like Foodbuy is a good start, you want to start establishing a relationship, feel free to reach out to Lynn. She'll be more than happy to, start that process with you and get you, lead you in the right direction to help you to become a partner, a potential partner with Foodbuy. All righty. Well, Lynn, I know we're kind of running out of time, but I do want to say thank you, once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon to put on this great webinar. The information you provided was very, very resourceful, and more than sure our audience feel that it was as well. I mean, and we had a lot of questions, and I'm sure we can continue on with this session. Yeah, everyone who's here, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Lynn. And I'm going to go ahead and advance to the next slide because we're running out of time. All righty. So this webinar concludes our series for the year. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has, participated with us. Thank you to our speakers like Lynn, who provide pertinent information for our farmers. If anyone has missed a webinar, here's a QR code to our YouTube channel. You can also type in at Freedmen Heirs Foundation and rewatch or view any of the webinars that may seem of interest to you. We also have a post-webinar survey at the end as well of this webinar session. And so what this survey does is that it gives us feedback in order to, further refine our webinar sessions and provide meaningful information to you all. And so, Lynn, I just want to say thank you once again for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Patrice, for facilitating this. You're phenomenal and your organization is great. And thank you to the farmers for your work. Your work in the nation's food supply is invaluable, and we need you so much. So thank you, everyone. It was a great webinar, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Well, that concludes our webinar session for today. If we don't see you again, we say happy holidays from Freedmen Heirs Foundation. And stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of things rolling out, hopefully for 2025, more webinar sessions with more interesting topics for you all. So thank you again, Lynn, and thank you everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.